Hello everybody and welcome to my alpha 1.1.2_01 world. I've been playing this world for just over a year, or according to MultiMC, 341 hours, and I don't know if that's an exceptionally long time to be playing a world over the course of a year. I know that I did commit more seriously to it about 6 or 7 months ago. Now I'd love to tell you some of the history and why I play this version specifically, and I will, but later in the video during some more transitional moments, because I know most people are here to just see the builds that I've made. But before I do that, I am going to turn off the snow, and let me very quickly explain why. So this is a snow world, and that's something you can generate in these earlier versions of alpha, where it's snowing all the time, water freezes, such and such. You have a 1 in 4 chance of generating a snow world when you create a brand new world in this version. Now, I really like how it looks. I like how the white kind of balances out the bright green grass. I like the snow. I'm playing with a texture pack that kind of turns the snow down into these smaller particles because it's better for video compression and it's less in the way. But since this is going to be about showing off my world in its entirety and the stuff that I build, I'm going to turn it off so you have a clearer view. Alright, this is a view that I never really get. I never really do play with the snow off. It's just a texture pack that makes the snow invisible, but it is still falling. Well, first, let me introduce this area. This is kind of the quarry industrial area of my world where I get all my stone. Ironically, most of the stone I've mined here has gone to just the facilities of the quarry, but I digress. This is a cool fountain that I've made. I used a brick bottom because I like brick bottoms on fountains. This is supposed to be sort of like a nature area where all the employees can go on break and kind of enjoy the outside world. And I have this very expensive duck statue right here. Over here, in this part of the park, I have Monster's Oak Smoked Pork. This little pork chop sign art. It's $5 for a pork chop. I just figured I could put something there to sell a little bit of street food in here. But when you go inside, you'll see that there are triple chests. This is something you can only make in older Minecraft versions with block replacement bypass. Basically, 2 chests are placed a block apart from each other, and then you put water or snow layer here and put another chest there, and it allows you to create a triple chest. So it looks like this. It's a little janky, but it does work. If I clicked on one of these, I would only see half of the chest, or 66.6%, whatever. But here you can see it actually stores a lot. It's a pretty interesting mechanic. Anytime pigs spawn here, which is often, I will come here and I will cook it and store it in this chest. But down below, you'll notice that the pork shack is actually a front for a heroin lab. I don't know, I just put this here because I had an empty space below here and I thought it'd be funny. But yeah, a little heroin lab, some poppies. Alright. There's this bridge here that's got a rail line in it that goes to the center of the world, and I'll show you some more of that by continuing into these facilities. So, there's a very long tunnel. And then up in here you have a minecart terminal, which I really like how this turned out because I made use of slabs being the only half block in alpha, which lets you have the illusion of other types of slabs. So, these little benches, for example. This is like a little screen that tells you all your different destinations. Over here is the actual minecart system itself. Now, powered rails, detector rails, any other rails than just rails don't exist in this version, so the way of moving minecarts around is a lot different. I use this system, and this actually is used to propel minecarts by clipping into them. And I'll show you exactly how that kind of works. So I'll break that so it doesn't get too far away from me. But if I put the minecart there, hit that button, boom, look at that. This system will propel you far further than any powered minecart rail will, but it's just different, and it's a little more complex. I'm going to step out here briefly so you kind of get a look of what it's like out here. Maybe you can see some of the buildings better from this view. Maybe not. That right there is a storage building. That's a furnace building, and it's also on top of the terminus. And over here is the kind of the corporate offices. So I'll be showing all those off. And this is how you get to the rest of the complex, but over here, this is a back entry into the mechanical room, which shows the minecart system in its entirety. When I press the button, it opens this door, which allows this minecart to clip through, go all the way around, and then reset itself. And it actually hits another minecart, which gives it a boost in the exact same way that minecart will give whatever I've placed out there a boost. I'm not going to give an entire lesson on how this works. If you're familiar with it, you'll know what I mean. It's still a really cool mechanic that doesn't exist anymore. Upstairs. This is that small building. It's just a furnace room. I never use really more than one row of furnaces here, but I have 3, just in case. Getting these to all face the way I wanted to was actually quite a complicated process. That's because blocks don't typically face the direction you place them in. They kind of rotate based on what other blocks are surrounding them, and it can get kind of complicated. Alright, this is the arcade area. It leads into the other building, and that leads down into like a gulch area. But I'm going to take you out here first. This is, and maybe this isn't a fantastic view of it, but this is the quarry. This is where all the stone comes from. And the reason I built this giant roof structure over the quarry itself is to stop snow from falling on everything, and from being in my face. It's one of the few areas in the world where I can go that I won't be snowed on. Now, there's no snow at all right now because I've made it invisible. But normally just try to imagine that it's kind of a refuge from the weather. And it was a huge structure. It actually took a very long time to put together because everything is slower in alpha, and doing mega projects can be very time consuming. I use dirt for the roof, and I think it's a nice color, but also it's a cheap material. I've been slowly mining this out whenever I need stone or whenever I'm bored. It can be kind of relaxing. I'll put on another video, usually when I do that. And it's gotten about 16 blocks deep total. That line right there signifies 16 blocks of depth. That is the maximum depth this thing has reached. It's about 7 by 6 chunks wide. I don't think it actually follows any specific chunk lines, but I've barely made a dent in what I could possibly be mining out of here. And also, here's another view of these 2 buildings. This was the first one I ever built, and then I renovated it to look like a skyscraper. Alright. Let's take a look at the arcade out here. Now, over here I put a little garden, because I thought it would be nice to have a little nature area, relaxation spot, with the bricks at the bottom of the pool again. Nothing super fancy here. Another break spot, perhaps. And then here we have the storage facility. Everything in this first row is labeled. Anything that is more specific goes in here. Nothing crazy. And then this row is all dirt. It's just so much dirt. I've mined so much. This row is supposed to be cobblestone, and I never have enough cobblestone saved up at one time to really fill these chests up. I usually use it as soon as I'm done mining it, or I just go through it very quickly. This has got nothing. There's several floors of this building. Upstairs, there's nothing. The floor after this, there's nothing. The floor after this, there's nothing. The floor after this is the roof. Look at that, we can kind of catch the moon all around here. This is the roof, and you'll get a much better view of the quarry from here. I like how orderly it looks. It's very cool. Very cool structure. And you can see the boat road that I have from here. Let's see what else we can see. That building is probably one of my favorite buildings I've made here. I can see some of the garden area. I think it looks very nice from this angle. The rail line that goes to the center of the world. T-shack, which I will show. Up here I just have a gravel rooftop and then these vent-looking things. But that's all there is for this building. I made this huge building for storage, but I realized I would never really have enough items to store in here. Maybe one day. But at the moment, these floors are completely unpurposed. I suppose I'll show this off really quickly. There's another triple chest. I usually put a bunch of my items that I'm not going to use when I mine in there. This is a boat elevator. The idea is you get in this boat, hit the button, and then you're down here in this area. And get out of here. Yeah. This takes you down into a chunk boundary, a chunk area. This is because I changed my world seed. So I could have monoliths generate in my world. And it kind of made this area. And so this is how you kind of get down into there. And then if you walk through here, you can get to the courtyard. And then let me show you how you get back up in this thing. So, pretty self-explanatory. Takes you back up because boats have a property in this version where they will just shoot straight up through water. Doesn't even matter if it's a water source, flowing water, whatever. Very useful. And look at that, it's daytime. Through the storage building again. There's another stairway behind these ones that goes down and to an exit, as well as a back entrance to the mechanical room that we were in a little bit ago. I have a lot of rooms and hallways connecting to things. I like everything to be very well connected, and it may seem kind of maze-like to someone experiencing for the first time, but it's all very well ordered, at least in my mind. This is a back entrance into the storage facility. It's slightly quicker to get from this building to the storage building through here, rather than... I'm talking, man. Rather than through there. I timed it once. Let's show off the tea shack. This is one of the first things I built after I completed my AFK obsidian farm that does exist in alpha, which is very cool. I got moss stone down here, which is a very rare block in this version as well. Inside here, I try to be very hefty with my decorating expertise, but you can only pack so much stuff into one spot. Tables, chairs, plants. You're very limited on block choice. It was hard enough just putting this pressure plate on top of this glass block. I had to use block replacement bypass, like I mentioned before, as in place water, then quickly place a pressure plate before it flows anywhere. You can't do it normally. Back here, it's just, I don't know, kitchen. You could call this a teapot. You could call that a tank or a jar. Whatever, it's all up to the imagination, which is something I really like about this version. This isn't grass. This is a bright green carpet. If you know what I mean. Alright, let's go into this building. This is the building I like the most. I'll probably spend the least amount of time in. It is the most detailed, it's my favorite design, and it certainly took longer than the other ones. So, let's head into here. Like I said, this is the corporate offices, and each floor is fully furnished. So this is just the foyer, or whatever you want to call it. Secretary sits here, or the attendant. A little bit of a waiting room. Back through here, some nice plants, paintings, and then filing cabinets, and a water cooler, if you use your imagination, with an expensive iron block. These are cubicles, okay? Each cubicle down here is a little bit larger than the rest of the cubicles, and they have a desk, a computer, and then a chair. And I use wool for that. Then this is the elevator, and elevators don't really exist in the traditional sense in this version. I use boat elevators to kind of get up and around. There's a boat here, I just click on it and I'm instantly in the second floor. It's perfect. And then if I want to get down again, I go down through here, but I'll wait till I'm at the top to do that. This is floor 2, has a lot more cubicles, but these are smaller cubicles for the lesser paid wages of the company. They don't get a chair. Back through here, very similar situation. No chair. A very small call center or secretary would be back here. Also not as much room as the first floor secretary. Let's go to the third floor. Same deal on this floor, except there is a maintenance room in here. And this is a maintenance room for the boat road, which you kind of get a view from down here. And you saw earlier. You can load new boats in here. I don't think I'll have to do that, but I'll show you it anyways. Let's go to the top floor. This is one of my favorite rooms because it has such a spectacular view of the area. You can see the tea shack, the chunk boundary area. You can see both the buildings from a nicer view than you can in the courtyard. You can see the courtyard. It's very nice. It's a very open area. This is supposed to be a clock, but it's as close as a clock as I could get. There's one gold hand of the clock. And some paintings. So for the boat system, which is really the entire purpose of this building, it's just a place to get into the boat system. You have to climb into this boat that activates this pressure plate, which opens that door, and then you'll be sent down the highway in a mostly straight direction. When you arrive back the other way, you'll end up over here, and then once you get out, the boat will move down to the other section. You'll have to see it in action to understand it. Sometimes there are glitches, in that when I reload these chunks, the boat will phase through the door, and I think I fixed that more recently. I think I've managed to solve that problem, but just in case I haven't solved it, let me simulate what I would do in that situation. The boats run away from me, and I need a new one. Let me show how I would replace that. So I go into the mechanical room, like I mentioned before. I've already got one. And then I right-click the wool block, it loads the boat perfectly. And it's very meticulous. A boat can break unless very specific conditions are met. So up through this ladder is just a back entrance to the upper maintenance room, which allows you to kind of see all the systems in place. And you can go out through here into the waiting room again. And look, our boat is ready to go. Let's go into this second maintenance room again. So you can see everything. Glass floor and all that, which is very cool. The boat that we just placed comes up through here and then just gets fed into that corner and then moved down there. Very unintrusive. Now, that's almost the entire building, but this place has a pretty big secret. If you were navigating this building, you would think this is the last floor, but it's actually not. There's a secret entrance to another floor. And there's a button back here. It's kind of hard to press because of Alpha's limitations. But if I go into here after I've pressed that button, and look, secret hole, just wait for it. Water flows down. And then I very slowly swim up. And here we are, the very top floor, the secret floor. This is the floor for the elites, or the owners, or the CEO of the company. It's very secretive. You can see the water kind of flowing down there. Whoever owns this place, I haven't figured that out yet. It's got a big old gold chair. They have planters with exotic plants made of moss stone. Again, a very rare block. A desk made of jukeboxes, because note blocks don't exist, but jukeboxes do. And then diamonds, you know. Very small seats for the underlings to take commands. Over here we have a mini bar, again, made from expensive blocks. Clay is very rare and hard to find, especially in a snow world when all the beaches are covered up. Obsidian, again, a hard block to get, but I do have an AFK farm, so it's not super hard. I got this wood kind of like paneling going on. I think it looks really cool. The CEO also has a private members-only balcony. So through here we have a nice view of everything. You can enjoy the nice winter air or whatever you want to do. Watch the sunset. There's a big umbrella here, which I actually like how this umbrella design turned out. Some chairs, whatever. Now, I'm going to explain how I made the water system work. And to a lot of you, it may not seem like a big deal, but it is here because there's no pistons. And if I can't move blocks, then how could I have possibly done this? Well, it requires a little bit of ingenuity and understanding of Alpha's mechanics. Now, you saw the water flowing through here. And over here, there's a torch tower that carries the signal from the button up to the mechanism that dumps the water. Let's kind of pillar onto the roof here. This is something that can only be done in a snow world because it requires ice to form. This right here, this is the mechanism that controls the whole thing. Let's get on top of this. You can see it's just some water, but it's actually floating water that's not flowing. So let me explain. Water will freeze at light level, I think 9 or below. Ice will thaw at 11 or above. I believe that's correct. Also, water, the actual block of water, obfuscates light and lowers the light level by 3 points for every block it travels, instead of 1, which is what air does. There's a torch just under there. Just under there. You can't see it, but it is very bright. When this water is flowing, I don't know how to simulate it flowing. Let's just do this. Alright, when it's flowing, did you notice how it got a lot darker? It's blocking the light from that torch, which means that this is below light level 9, meaning it's vulnerable to being frozen. So if I sit here long enough, it will be frozen because, again, this is a snow world. That's why this can only happen here. Boom. Now, it's not going to stay frozen for long because now that water is gone and it's back up to light level 11 and above, so it's going to melt. And look at that, it's melted. Now the thing is, when ice melts in alpha, it doesn't update the block. So it just stays like this. But once it receives a block update, like what I did with the dirt, or what I might do with the button, which activates this redstone torch, it'll start flowing again and the whole cycle will repeat itself. That's how this works, and here's kind of a helpful graphic made by Deadly Dirtblock, who designed this mechanism. That can help you maybe understand a little bit better on how this works, in case I didn't explain it very well. It can only be done on versions with the snow world like this one. Alright, let's get one more view of this place before we head down. Now, the elevator is very cool because you can get up very quick and you can also get down very quickly. just by going against this ladder and then falling. I wanted to make it so you can go through here as quick as possible because, well, when you're arriving at the station, you're here because you want to mine, so you just want to get over to the quarry as fast as possible. Anyway, let's hop on the boat. I'll show you how this thing works. Here we go. And we're going to get a nice view of this place as we exit. Now, how this boat road works, you may notice this water is flowing very strangely. I use the same mechanic that's used in that little machine up there. When ice thaws, it becomes still water. And I basically controlled the flow of all these water streams, had them flow onto an ice block, and then melted the ice block once everything was in place, and that caused it to kind of stay still. It's very convenient. As I get down here, another boat was just released. I don't know if you saw that or not. Alright, we are in a completely new area of the world. This is another mining area, but it's more of a strip mining for ore place. Right now, we are in my painting museum, and I guess I'm going to kind of give a backwards tour of this place since this is the last room. So yeah, let's start with the last room. This is my least favorite room in the whole building. It's so big I didn't really know what to put in here. I have like this little form a line thing. I have some waiting areas. I have this giant pixel art of a boat that didn't turn out very well because the block palette is limited and everything in here is already brown. I have the boat pass desk. You can pay, what, $5 to get in? I have a cactus. This is the only place in the world I've ever used a cactus. Again, block replacement bypass. I had to do it because look, it's against the block. It's up against several blocks and that's illegal. The only way you can make that work is if you place the water, then place the cactus, and it ignores its usual constraints. As far as the actual design of the room, I really like it. I like these beams, I like the roof, I like the big solid wood walls and the windows, especially that extremely expensive chandelier. But other than that, I feel like I didn't really do it justice with the decoration, so let's just move on. So, and here's another room. This is a very big structure. A little window, and some stairs. And like I said, this is a painting museum, so it has every painting by Christopher Zetterstrand that currently exists in Alpha, with the name and when it was added. Each room is an exhibit, a different exhibit for each size of painting. So these are the 4x4s. There's Pointer, and this one is Pig Scene, which is a girl painting a pig. I always thought it was like a pig griffin thing, but it's actually like her dress. And then the painting with a pig on it. They just slapped a pig on it. It doesn't even translate correctly to a pig if you look closely. Anyway, that was the 4x4 collection. This is the 4x3 collection, or the 3x4, whatever. Skeleton, a very long hallway that lends a nice view to each of them in Donkey Kong. Now from here, you can get a little nice view of a little courtyard down there. We'll be down there momentarily. That was the 4x3 collection, that's what it was. Alright, and here, another room with a large window looking out to the lake and to the other boat road that I have. This is the 4x2 collection. There's only one this size. It's called Fighters. 4x2 exhibit. Oh yeah, I called it something different because it was only one painting. Here's the 2x2 collection. Another view of the courtyard. Here we have Bust, Match, Skull and Roses, Stage, and Void. This is my least favorite painting. The colors are kind of weird, but I like all the other ones. Alright, let's head down here. This is the 2x1 collection. So we have Creebit, Sunset, my favorite, and I think a lot of other people's favorites because it clearly depicts something. Sea, Pool, and Courbet. And now we're level with the courtyard. Let's walk around a little bit first. Now this is the 1x2, I think. Graham and Wanderer. This is the 1x1, the very first exhibit, because I just gave you a backwards tour. It's Wasteland, Plant, Kebab, Bomb, Aztec 2, Aztec, and Alban, or whatever. Is it supposed to mean Albany? Is it supposed to mean Albania? I have no idea. Alright, well let's go into this thing, since I've already showed it off about 4 times. There's another nature area, and there's no snow in this area, not just because of the texture pack, but because it has a roof blocking the snow. I got a lonely little tree in here, some little zen pathways, and some rock gardens. But this place has a secret, okay? Behind this one rock, there's an inset. Put water into here, you might hear something. Alright, let's go check out what's happened here. By putting that water there, I've activated a secret entrance. Now, behind one of these paintings, actually both of them, is this little secret room. You may have thought, it's crazy to have an entire room full of paintings and not have a secret entrance behind any of them, and that's what I thought when I was building it, so I made this place. Currently this doesn't go anywhere, but I have pretty massive plans for here. At the moment I've just been digging a lot. I don't know how deep this is supposed to go. I want to have a very expansive underground library, but I have not gotten to that yet. It's kind of low on my list of priorities. I've barely done any digging here. It's a decent amount of digging for this version. I only use stone tools, and the reason I only use stone tools is because 1, they're cheap to make, and 2, durability is so much lower for all tools. So having an iron pickaxe, a diamond pickaxe, they don't really give you the same value that they took to create when you go mining with them. You usually end up with less iron if you go mining with one than if you just use a stone pickaxe and an iron pickaxe sparingly. So that's why I use stone tools and everything, except the sword, which is worth it because it 2 hits all aggressive mobs. Now, I guess I can show you how this system works since I'm here. Oop, not there. Alright. That water flows down into here and lifts up that boat. But when there's no water, that boat falls back down, hits those pressure plates, and closes these doors. Pretty simple. Very cool thing. Again, it's something you can only do in these older versions. So let's go remove the water really quickly. And you'll hear the click. One of my favorite sounds. Okay, so this is the foyer of this building. A waiting room, perhaps. The rates, 18 and younger as $4.50, 18 through 60, $9, 60 and up, $7. Veterans are free. I probably should have put kids are also free, but I didn't think of that at the time. Have a nice view of the pool from out here. Alright. This place is formerly known as the Zetterstrand Museum. Fun fact, Christopher Zetterstrand, his sister married Notch, and then they divorced like just a couple months after Minecraft was officially released. Here you can get a view of the painting museum in its entirety. It's one of my favorite builds because it really is a natural building process. I really did just build each room to suit the paintings. And I also structured it in such a way you may have noticed that you have to go through all the exhibits to get to the top. It's like a spiral. I did a lot of planning and I didn't focus so much on how it would look. It was a very organically developed build. And then over here I have a bonsai tree, which again was very hard to do, and it was very hard to do because there are no shears. You can't place leaves, you can't collect them. Not only that, but they have to be a certain distance away from logs, otherwise they will decay. I think leaf decay in this version is broken, so it can really be any block, but I don't want to risk it. So I grew a ton of trees here, and then I slowly just kind of like shaped down what I had available into this bonsai tree thing. There's a few more things to see here. Like right here was this sugarcane farm. And it's not like anything special, but it is sort of special because sugarcane is incredibly rare in Snow Worlds. It's one of the drawbacks of playing this kind of world. It's because snow covers everything, so sugarcane isn't going to generate. Not only that, but there's ice everywhere, not water. So you just have to be very lucky and wait for perfect moments in the terrain when you're generating new chunks and kind of hope that it generates. It took a lot of searching, but I did eventually find some. Okay, over here I have some bears. These are bears. They're wild and free, but civilized bears. This one kind of like, was supposed to be a younger bear, but it really looks more like a ferret, if I'm being honest. This one's a scared bear. This is the first building that was ever over here. And this is the strip mining building. It's just, some storage, nothing really crazy or anything. I don't have a whole lot to show off here, except that I've done a ton of mining. Down here, here's a minecart track. I'm sure there's already a minecart down here by accident. But this is the strip mine. It's nothing crazy. Just convenient. Just pretty convenient. It's about at the right level that it should be. Some of these are mined for a very long ways. Alright, let's go back up. Another minecart booster that allows me to basically have infinite momentum. Here we go. This building has a little bit of a loft up here just for the crafting table. And a cool view. So this building is very specifically placed. It's placed in the positive quadrant of this world where the X and the Z are positive. Because there's a glitch in alpha that causes quadrants of the world with negative coordinates, like a negative X or a negative Z or both, to have much less ore generation. So I kind of navigated all the way over here into a positive quadrant and made my strip mine here so I could get more ore. And that was difficult because F3 does not display coordinates. I had to use an MBT editor to find the center of my world and then orient myself from there. Now over here, there's this kind of like goofy building. I like it though. This is just a minecart rail and it goes to the AFK obsidian farm. And I suppose I'll show you how that works. It's kind of far away, so I'll speed it up. Okay, here we are. This is a very, very tall structure. Oop. Pork. You can see that a minecart booster actually takes you exceptionally far, which is very nice. So this is the AFK obsidian farm. It's built very close to another chunk boundary with some really cool generation, mind you. But it's a very tall structure, and you're gonna find out why in a moment. Let me grab some example making devices. All right. Let's go down below first. You'll see that there is water and lava flowing down either side. Oh, and this one's still flowing. Suppose I should just wait for that to finish flowing down here, shouldn't I? Okay, yeah, sorry about that. I probably left this place while I was in the middle of flowing down. Alright, for this demonstration, I'm going to need some gravel and redstone. This is basically a vertically tiered obsidian farm. So if I place 2 bits of gravel there, the lava will flow over into this water and then create 2 cobblestone. That's basically how this works. Now, here's the catch. So I can make this generate obsidian if I sacrifice 2 bits of redstone dust. Voila. This happens because the data values from that block are kind of instantly transferred over to the block that's trying to be generated. Normally it's air or something, which turns it into cobblestone. But in this case, I put down redstone dust, which holds a lot of different values because it can point different directions and has different states, and it turns it into obsidian instead. Now, I basically continue this process all the way to the top of this thing, and it can take a very long time. So I'm not going to do it right now. But I do this until I get to the top, and then I block off the obsidian and lava, and then I position myself to where I can AFK mine it all the way straight down without losing any blocks. I'm going to take it to the top so you can get the view from the top because it's a very cool view and you can see how high this thing really is. Okay, this can take almost 2 minutes to climb from top to bottom. It's a very long time to be on a ladder, but yeah, anyway, this is just the source of the water and lava. This is as high as I can go. I could extend it further, that's the thing. I just ran out of cobblestone when I was building this. Now it's dark, so you can't see things very well, unfortunately. But this is the view that I get. It's pretty cool. Now, some of you who are familiar with this version may have picked up on that this structure extends far beyond the vanilla world height limit. And you're correct, it does. I'm using a mod that extends the world height by another 128 blocks, because 128 blocks is what I am normally allowed to build to. That's it. It's very limiting, and that's why I've got a height mod on. Ooh. Oh man, a very dangerous free fall. As long as I'm playing this world and I never take the height mod off, I'll be fine. If I took it off, it'll just cut it off like in the middle or something. I have other structures that exceed the height limit that I definitely don't want to damage. Let's put this stuff back and then head over to the main area. Alright, here we go. Okay, back at the station. by the way, the ambient track that's been playing in the background was composed by the very talented Retrovex Ambient. So thank you very much to him. He has a lot of stuff like this, and I would very much recommend you check out his channel, which I'll link in the description. Very cool pieces of music. This is a custom one that's kind of meant to be for Minecraft. It's brand new. I like it a lot. Let me know what you think of it in a comment or something. Alright. This building is the terminal for the EATS road, which is the real name of these boat roads. EATS stands for Ethos Alternative Transportation System, because he invented this back in like early beta or very late alpha as an alternative to minecarts. And it is. I made this because one, it's cool, and two, it's a lot cheaper in terms of iron, which isn't super easy to get. So this is the terminal. We got some classic lava lighting, which I love how this looks. And down there we have a maintenance access. How this works, I get in this boat that activates that pressure plate, which opens this door. It also opens this door, and it lets a new boat into place. So there should always essentially be a boat here waiting for me if I want to take it. And this is a different style from that one over there, because that one obviously looks different, but the mechanism is you take one boat to this end, and then a boat that's there is released and put at the other end. So there should always be a boat on either end. Or this one has just a ton of boats loaded and ready to go. If I were to take this thing only one direction several times, from here to there, and then like loop back around manually and then come here again, I would be able to do that just fine up until I ran out of boats loaded in the system, and at that point I'd have to load a new boat. That system has the benefit of not having to ever do that. There should always be a boat waiting for me, but as I spoke before, sometimes there's a chunk loading error that causes the boats to fade through a door, and I'll need to add a boat into the system. Now, I think I fixed that, but it may happen again. But let me show you how I load a boat into this one, because it doesn't really cause any harm, and it's a lot of fun, actually. I'll do one at the other end as well. Why not? Okay, down into the maintenance room. Here it is. It's got the loading system. The arriving boats, they arrive through here. They get pushed over into this column of water, and then they wait here in a line. And over here, this is all the redstone that you can access. I'll say something real quick. You don't really need maintenance rooms in modern Minecraft. You can usually kind of, once you get your redstone working, just kind of cover it up with something. But in alpha, sometimes things break. Sometimes things don't work out. That's why I have maintenance rooms for all my major redstone contraptions, so I can access it just in case. I like that. I think that's kind of cool. It's like having a car. You know, your car's not always going to work. You might need to replace the carburetor sometimes and get your hands dirty. That's kind of the idea here, rather than it's just working all the time perfectly forever. Some people might find that annoying. You don't have to do this all the time, and only really when you're working with entities like boats or minecarts. Anyway, let's look at the boat loading system. It works very similar to when a boat arrives at the station. Just put it up through here. It is similar to the one at the other building as well. Falls down through here and up, and now it's loaded, and it just kind of bounces around there until there's room for it. And I have to be very specific about the water streams, you know, how far away from the source they are, where to put pressure plates and things like that, otherwise they will break. So it's very tedious. Let's get into one of these things. And look at that, a new one was moved into place. So, here we go. A very cool view of the painting museum. This EATS road is very noisy. It's because of all the pressure plates, but I like that. I like that sound. It's kind of relaxing. It scratches my brain a little bit. I don't know. You might find it annoying. But at the moment, we're heading over to a passive mob farm, which was the original purpose of this thing being built. Alright, we're arriving, and when I get out of here, I'll deactivate a pressure plate, which allows it to flow into the system, and it resets the whole thing. So we should see that boat kind of popping up into place over here. Look at that. Alright, perfect. So this station is slightly different, and it's a work in progress. Let me add another boat to the system. It's downstairs. Same mechanism, pretty much. Doesn't really work any different. Let's go back upstairs. You can already start to hear the animals dying. So, this is the work in progress passive mob farm. Passive mob spawning works very different in alpha and most beta versions. Passive mobs can despawn. They can't do that on modern. And they're attempted to spawn every 20 seconds. And if you leave the area, they'll despawn just like hostile mobs. It's very different. And that means you can get pretty effective passive mob farms, although the drops aren't as powerful in that of modern. Like, I can get leather very easily, I can get pork very easily, but pork does not stack. Leather can be only used to make armor. That's actually its only purpose. And sheep aren't going to drop anything, and that's because they have to be hit by a player to drop wool. If they're killed on their own, like from falling, they won't drop wool. So I've been thinking of a system that circumvents that and will allow me to get wool, since it'll essentially be the most useful drop from this thing once I get that up and running. But I haven't done that yet. Still kind of in the midst of decorating everything. I am sure you're probably curious about what the top looks like, so let's just pillar up there really quickly. You can see a little bit more of where I've decided to build this. It's in a very strategic spot. Alright, here we go. Very simple. Lots of grass platforms. I had to let grass spread all the way up here. And the animals, you know, they walk off. They flow towards the center. This is built on an island in the middle of basically an ocean, because it's very far away from the shore. Other blocks of grass, which means it's great for spawning. Animals can spawn about 128 blocks away from the player, but not within 24 blocks of the player. So the AFK spot down there is almost perfectly situated for a constant influx of animals. But it works very simply. It's also very satisfying. There they go. Now you may be wondering, why is this little bit of water here? And I guess you'll get a view of that in a second. It's for catching chickens. So look, it catches the chicken because it floats down, and then it moves it into a lava block and it cooks it. Oh no, not actually cook it, there is no chicken meat, but it just gets rid of it because it only drops feathers, and that's basically completely useless. It's a cool view from here too. Let's head back down. I was renovating this rail line which leads to the center of the world, so it's not got a minecart booster. But it does kind of need one for me to get out of here, so I'm just going to construct it very quickly. Maybe we'll kind of get an understanding of how this works. Alright, temporary solution. Here we go. And this will take me all the way back. There's the passive mob farm. There's the sun setting. There's the Eats Road. There's a cave I didn't finish exploring. Let me talk a little bit about why I play this version of Minecraft. It really is two answers to that question. One, why do I play old Minecraft at all instead of modern? And two, why this version specifically? And I'll kind of explain that as I'm touring this place. There's not a lot to see here. This is the center of the world. It's just a little bit of a way station. All these different minecart tracks take you somewhere, except this one. Passive mob farm where we just came from. This takes me over to the mining area. That takes me to spawn and the wood farm. Up on top I have just some wheat growing here, just in case I need some food. Over there is a bear museum, or a bear exhibit. I'm going to take this railway so you can kind of see what this would be like if I were traveling straight to the quarry area. So let me talk about answering those two questions. The first one, why do I play modern? Why don't I play modern Minecraft is essentially the question. And I've talked about it ad nauseum in other videos. I don't play modern Minecraft because I feel like it is a poorly planned game, I guess. I kind of feel like there isn't any kind of final vision or direction. There's stuff being added, mostly these days, to keep the game just relevant or something. I have very specifically set opinions about this. I've been playing Minecraft for almost 15 years, and I realized that this version, I never actually did play this until a year ago, but these older versions, like the way that they work, are the versions that I fell in love with, so to speak. They're the versions that really got me to play. I feel like if I started Minecraft on 1.21, like if that was the first version of the game I ever played, I don't think I could enjoy it as much, or I don't even think I'd be able to get into it the same way that I got into it back then, 14, 15 years ago. So we're leaving the quarry base right now, but that's kind of just how that looks. It's not super far away, but we've essentially gone on a big square. So anyway, modern Minecraft can definitely be fun. It's got a lot of things that you can do, a lot more block choices, a lot more mechanics. It's got two other dimensions that this version does not have. I just haven't played it in years. Now before this I played Beta 173, which was slightly less limited, but I went back to this one for a few reasons that I'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to play modern Minecraft. I played it for years, of course. I'm very proud of some of the stuff I built on there. But I've decided over a very long period of time and a long period of playing Minecraft, which is really kind of one of the only games I've really consistently played, that I just prefer older versions of it. I've got a video essay on why I do this more specifically. It's on my other channel, and I will link that in the description if you're curious about the details. Before I answer the second question, let's go look at this bear museum thing. I built this out here because the plan for this area, that's the center of the world, a little obelisk right there, is to build a major metropolitan area, a huge city right here. And I kind of wanted the city to like naturally grow out, so I was planning on putting some random buildings around here and then kind of structuring the roads and the other buildings around that. I'm going to replace this center building soon enough. At the moment, it's just a temporary way station. I'm kind of far from starting that project just because I want to have some of these other things finished. I want to have the wood farm finished. But every once in a while, I will go and build something completely useless, but cool looking. Like this structure. This is the Bear Museum I was talking about. It's got a big glass dome I'm very proud of because I free-handed it. It has an entrance on each side. And inside, I think you have a really cool view. But this is the bear sanctum. So each corner there is an exhibit. This is a polar bear. He's got a little iceberg, and you know, he's got shell shock from living in the Arctic wastelands, I suppose. Always looking for his next meal. Over here we have a brown bear, a grizzly bear. He's just like the most normal looking bear, the most stereotypical of all the bears. Usually lives in more mountainous regions. I've got mountains with snow-capped peaks here, a little waterfall, an immature river with like sand and gravel and whatever. A little pine tree, a little tiny pine tree. There's only one tree in this version, it's oak. Over here we have a panda bear. He's sleeping. Look at him, he's sleeping. He's in a little bamboo reed forest jungle kind of thing. And then we have the black bear, and he's happy as a bear can be in a forest where black bears belong. And, you know, they're a little bit more friendly and mischievous than brown bears. So that's all of them. It was just a little creative exercise, really. And of course, there is a maintenance tunnel you can get into down below. This is a tunnel that leads to every single bear exhibit. Like if you need to feed them or, I don't know, tranquilize them or something. Probably should have labeled the doors, but I think this is the black bear? Yeah. Nope, it's the brown bear. Yeah, so you can actually get in here up and close and personal with the bears. You can get into all of them. There are doors inside every exhibit, which I think is really cool. I like secret pathways or back passageways. I'm a big fan of those. I'm sure you can use your imagination with the rest of them. Well, let's walk over here. This is not anything special, but it is kind of neat to me. It's a really old-fashioned treehouse. I remember when I was very young and very new to Minecraft, I would find these trees, and I would hollow them out and make a little house out of them, like a little base. So I just kind of did that. It was quick, it was cool, slightly nostalgic. And in here I'll discuss why I play this version specifically. So here we go. Little tree fort. Nothing special. There are no beds, so there is nowhere to sleep in here. So why do I play alpha 1.1.2_01? Well, this is the very last version before the Halloween update, which added the nether and biomes and changed the color to like a darker green. There are no biomes in this version. There is only land and water, and then everything else is generated from there. Alpha 1.2, the Halloween update, also removes monoliths, removes snow worlds. I like having those benefits. It's kind of neat not having a nether and being forced to have transportation in the overworld. I mean, if you think about it, like we're very used to the nether as a concept, but consider like Minecraft being developed as a game, as a survival game up until this point. Next update, Notch adds hell to the game, and it's kind of cool that he has the creative freedom to do that and the wherewithal to add something really kind of avant-garde to this otherwise unassuming game. But if you also think about it, it's very different. It's very out of place. It's kind of strange. Like, it's kind of a very weird thing. Like, why would he put that in the game? Now, its express purpose was for travel, and it's still cool. I love the nether, but I'm kind of playing in a time before that existed, when you had to do everything in the overworld, and it was a little bit more survival-y. I don't know. Oh, get out of here. Again, I don't have anything wrong with the Nether. It's interesting to play in a time before that. All right, let's go over to the wood farm. This area is one of the first things I ever built in this world, and it's still not finished. It's kind of a complicated structure. You're going to see it soon enough. I did play Beta 173 for a while because it's the last update before the Adventure update, which added hunger and a lot of other things, the terrain changes, stuff that a lot of people don't like. But I switched to here because I like the homogeneous kind of colors, the terrain. I don't really like the biomes in Beta 173. I like how there's less choices because I kind of like working within confines of things. Alright, this is a tower that's only meant for taking this minecart rail and moving it down to this area, but I think it's a very cool tower. Look at that. Alright, here we are approaching the tree farm. This is the first thing in the world I ever built. Okay. So, let's go into this building. This is the first thing I ever built. This little house. And then I expanded everything from here. Added this tree farm right after building that house. I'm pretty proud of it. I've used it for everything. All the wood you see in this world was pretty much mined right here. It has a capacity of 43 trees. And then I built this bridge over here, which goes to the mainland. I have this Mario pixel art because, I mean, you have to build some pixel art somewhere. Over here, I think it's like right around that tree right there is the world spawn. And this is negative coordinates. It's negative x and negative z coordinates. So that's why I moved and started mining somewhere else, but I used to mine here. There's a side view of the bridge, and then there's a bell tower right there I really like. Alright, let's go back. So this entire tree farm area is designed to contain a fire. When I mine all the logs, these leaves don't decay. I said, I think a lot earlier, leaf decay is bugged in Alpha 1.1. It's supposed to be that it only needs to touch logs to stick around, but I think it's messed up and it works for every block, so... And that can mean like snow, it can mean the slabs that I use to limit the height of these trees, the walls, etc. So anytime I chop up all the trees in here, I will light the leaves to clear them all out. And if any fire just kind of gets close to this shack, I'll just kind of put it out by hand. And I've been doing that since I've been farming trees here. Before I look at this structure, let's go into the bell tower. It's just another way to get into the tree farm. I was going to connect it with that building eventually. Over here is an area that I never ever go to. But it's just, you know, a side building that I thought looked nice. It's just some windows or whatever, I don't know. You can look up here. And then you can climb up to the very top. Here's the top of the bell tower. You can get a better look at this monstrosity. And over here in the tree farm and the Mario and whatever. Spawn, which is over there somewhere. There's the bell. This is, I think, the first splurge I ever made in this world. The first expensive thing I ever did, decoration-wise. Gold has no use. You can use it to make armor, but why would you want to do that? Armor is already broken pretty much in this version. So you just use it as a rare block to decorate with. Probably wondering what this thing is. So let's take a look at it. Let's get up here. This is meant to be a very, very detailed extension to the tree farm. Now, I wanted to design it based off of some like oratories, cathedrals, a lot of Gothic structures, but its main purpose is to farm trees. All the roofs of this building would have trees growing on it that I could go up and chop down and cut and keep farming. An extension to this thing, because this really isn't enough. When I really need wood, I'll chop all these down and then I'll just sit for like days waiting for them all to grow again. Because trees take a lot longer to grow. You may notice there are no trees yet. I'm working on that. I'm figuring out the interior first. Down here we have this inset which is completed. Thankfully, we'll go down there in a moment. And up here we have a walkway around, and we have this elevator, and then a channel, and then what's going to be a dome. So let's look at it a little bit more specifically. Down here is the pool. Well, it will be a pool. Once I finish this entire structure, I'm going to fill this up with multiple levels of water, I think 4, if I can help it, 3 or 4. And it's going to be the only place in this world you can use a boat like a boat is supposed to be used, because everywhere's frozen over. You know, speed boating on ice doesn't work in Alpha. That's not a thing. This will be the only place you can take a boat around. The main idea is you can boat around in here. You go down this pathway, this channel, and then over here is a massive water elevator. So I'm going to have water pouring straight down here. And that's going to take you all the way to the top. Because again, boats rise straight up through water. And we'll go up there in a minute, but I'm very happy with all the detailing I've done here. This is just the one place I've really let myself go crazy with the detail, and I've gone through a lot of different designs. I've torn down the walls so many times, the pillars, those walls in there, the trim, just to get the look that I want. I'm not in a rush to finish this. I really want it to look very nice, and it's been taking a lot of deliberation. It's the one thing in this world that I'm actually putting a ton of effort into, design-wise. Like up here, for example. I've been trying to figure out what pillars should be up here. Now, I've decided on this pillar. There's this one, which is just that one, but a little bit taller. There's that one, which has stone behind it, and then this trim thing, which looks good, but I think this looks better for what the purpose of this entire structure is going to be. I had other pillar designs, I already tore them down. This one's going to hold some beams up, they go across the ceiling, and then there's that hole right there, and I'll explain that hole when I get back up. But you might have already been able to kind of guess at its purpose. Let's go up this ladder. Okay. It's kind of a cool view from here, huh? Okay, all the way up here, this is meant to be, well, there's clouds in the way, but this is meant to be the spot you're supposed to take your boat to, through the elevator, that you can use to get to all the roofs and chop the trees. This is how you're going to get around. It's going to be very quick, I hope. So you take your boat up here, there's a channel full of water, you can boat down it, whatever. You can get out, you can go chop all your trees, and then when you're done, you get in the channel again, get in your boat, you take it here. And this is a large pool with a hole in the center. And that pool is going to drain down into that pool down there. And I'm going to use the melting ice method to stop that water from actually fully dropping down into there. So it's just going to leak a little bit. But it's going to be the way that you get around. You essentially just get your boat down there, take it through that channel, up the elevator, up to here, chop your wood, back down, and it's reset. That's the whole idea. And if you noticed, the parts of this structure that I built first were all the boat parts. The clouds are kind of cutting it off, but I have these pillars up here I think look kind of nice. I'm going to change up this snow line here later on. But yeah, that is essentially the very last thing that I have to show. I don't think there's really anything else. Let's do a little MLG water bucket clutch here. They work a little bit differently in this version of the game. If you jump into a 1 block deep pool of water, you will probably still take damage, not all the time, but it can still kill you. So I have to do it that way in order to not take any fall damage. But yeah, that's the whole world. This is unfinished. And I've been working on it for a year, 341 hours. I've been talking for a long time. There's one more thing I could show, and that's over here, okay? Remember earlier when I mentioned that I changed my seed so monoliths will generate? Well, the nearest monoliths are thousands of blocks away, but that's relatively close because they are exceedingly rare. After I changed the seed with the MBT editor, I went over to one, I made a torch trail, and the whole idea, kind of, that I'm working towards is once I have all these projects done, the mob farm, the wood farm, the stone farm, all of this, once it's all finished, all said and done, I can start developing that monolith area. I can start exporting massive amounts of materials over there. I have a copy of this world where my player is at that monolith, so I'm just going to hop over to there really quickly. That's number 3. Yep, okay, here we are. It's huge. This is probably the biggest monolith I've ever seen anywhere. It goes so far, I mean, I would not be able to render this entire thing within this video, but it is just massive, and it has so much potential. I would love to build a dwarven, mine into this place. I would love to build an elven kingdom. That'd be very cool. That little standalone monolith would be very cool as a tower or like a hotel. And I want to build a wall stretching from that side to that side with that in the middle. On top of here, I kind of wanted to build like a university. Underneath the monolith, I wanted to build a research center, because underneath the monolith is a very trippy experience if you've never seen one before. Yeah, underneath the monolith is just this massive ice lake. It's very cool. I think it'd be the perfect atmosphere for like for a research station. It's kind of meant to look like an alien planet. I had to clean up all the gravel first, but that's okay. Anyway, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of stuff I'd love to do. I'd love to have a minecart rail that allows you to tour this whole thing. And I also need to have a minecart rail that takes me from the center of the world to here. And that will cost a lot of iron. Iron that I don't have. But it'll be how I transport materials, how I transport myself. That is the end goal. I don't know if I'll ever reach that goal. It's a very big commitment. But I have made it this far, you know, so I'm pretty proud about that. Well, that is it. That is everything. 1 year in Minecraft Alpha. I'm going to put a link to a world download if you're curious about trying this yourself in the description. However, you should definitely be using the height mod if you want to load this world, because otherwise some stuff might be cut off. That structure will definitely be cut off. The obsidian farm will be cut off. Everything else is pretty much below the height limit. That corporate building in the quarry area might be cut off. There's a link to download the height mod in my Discord. You'll have to join my Discord. I have a lot of mods that you can download from there. I have my instance you can download, that kind of thing. So there's a link to that in the description as well. Anyway, I hope this wasn't too boring. I hope you found it interesting. I'm going to keep working on this world. I'm going to keep pounding it out. I've got a long-standing series on this world where I mostly just talk about life, I brew tea, and I just kind of slowly chip away at projects. You can check out the playlist, but other than that, I've been Monster, and have a good night.